So, hello, Blue. This is Bleu Baker.
Hi.
We've met, I guess, just different social things around.
Right.
He's a photographer here in Lethbridge and does some really cool photography. So I thought I was anxious to kind of chat with you and see what you do and why you do it and that kind of thing. So when did you start? When did you start taking pictures?
It's probably been about 5 years.
Yeah? Is that all?
Yeah.
Really?
I'd say about 10 years ago. For about 6 months I played around and then quit, and then 5 years ago I purchased
kind of starting to...
Yeah.
I think one of the first times that I maybe saw your face is because I know your wife, Jen.
Right.
And so I'd see you kind of around. And the first time was maybe when you're taking pictures of them outside of Drunken Sailor.
Oh, right.
For Art Walk.
That was a long time ago. That was probably my first year, I think.
Was it? Yeah.
Probably,
Yeah, so we used to do Art Walk at Drunken Sailor, and we'd have people as mannequins.
Right.
And and you took some fantastic pictures.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
I remember every photo shoot I do, so I remember that for sure.
Is that right?
Yeah,
hey?
I do. Yeah. I feel like I have a bond every time I take someone's photo.
Is that right?
Photo, I do.
And so is that something sort of specific to photographs, or are you a type person when you meet somebody?
I have no idea. I think because there's adrenaline when I'm taking the photo, and I'm doing a lot of things with. I always shoot manual, so I'm doing a lot of things, and I usually have pressure because I want it to do well. So maybe just the adrenaline and you're focused on the eyes and whatnot.
So you use manual?
Yeah, everything I do is manual.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's always how you've done the...
Well, I have ADHD, so it just calms me and it makes me focus in. So I like doing it, and it makes me, if I have to concentrate on the camera, it'll take away nerves too. So,
right.
Yeah, that's why I do it. It's not like it's anything spectacularly hard to do. It's just it focuses me to do that, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's interesting. So when you find that, because it's a tough thing taking pictures of people, and the other places I saw you that I was like, oh my God, how is he even doing this, was at Levi's Halloween party a couple of years ago when we could party. And there were just people just in and out, like for what, like 6 or some hours?
Yeah.
You were going strong without a break anywhere.
Yeah, it's a marathon sometimes.
Yeah. So do you like that? That's an adrenaline?
Oh yeah. I like to, I have to, that's just my way of getting out and creating adrenaline, energy, meeting people. It's a good way to meet people and break down a barrier. Yeah. Plus, it's a lot of cool people at Levi's too, right?
That's true.
If it wasn't Levi's, I don't know if I'd go, but
well, there's good costumes.
There is.
There's a lot of good subjects there.
You bet,
yeah, for sure. So I've noticed too that you do a lot of thematic sort of work. So is that something that appeals to you the most?
Yeah. I think to have a concept is nice. Like the photos I gave you, or Spencer and Gerardo, or G as we call them. They're very cool people. They're dancers, and he came up with the idea. It was for a dress it was a kind of a dress theme at the gallery, the traveling red dress show.
Okay.
Yeah. That was the first year I did it, and he came up with the idea of. I approached him to go into the dress because I wanted a man in there, and he was a choice for me. And I asked him what it meant to him, and he felt strongly about how society views feminine character. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous here. Calm down. He was saying how society tends to view feminine characteristics lesser or not as strong as masculine. Yeah. And it was just completely clear. I mean, there was no doubt about it. So that's how we did. That's why that really all came from that. And then his dance partner, Spencer was, she's quite thin in those photos, and she was able to pull off the masculine part for me too. She's a great actress, so it worked well.
So was that the first time you played around with gender?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
And so was it something that you liked the way that, because you have done more things that also kind of play with gender. It's one of the things I kind of like in your photographs is there's always sort of a story that you can see.
I think, well, I grew up in an era, well, it wasn't cool at all to be gay. In fact, like I just have no idea how any of those guys
survived,
or females did it.
Yeah.
It's like, it was just, so as I grew older, I mean, I think, what's the point of just shooting, like social media seems to revolve around a certain look, and so I think that's not a good idea to keep revolving around that certain look. So
you like to challenge that?
Yeah, mix it up a little bit. Like,
yeah.
Why not change it up? And you know, I don't think we should be afraid of those things. I don't want to be afraid of it, and
yeah.
So whatever.
Yeah. So you've got to be about 10 years younger than me or so.
I'm turning 50 in April.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you look fabulous. I'm only 53 then. Going to be 54 in February.
Okay.
So I think actually Jen went to school with my brother. So I don't know if you went to school with Jen. But
no, she's 3 years younger.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Then I wonder which brother she went with. Anyways, that's an aside. But I'm just thinking about that time. It was such an unusual time. And even as a female, going through that, like sort of there was very distinct as to what feminine should look or what masculine should look like. So
and also body type and all that as well. So.
Yeah, which is what my art explores too, is sort of being able to have this sort of fleshy older body that can still be seen as sexualized, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because there sort of seems like a cutoff rate where you're allowed to be either sexual looking or not.
Well, I guess for some people and a lot of social media, yeah, maybe, but I don't really get it. I don't see it that way. So,
what interests you when you go to, when you're wanting to take a picture? What sort of usually, or I mean, that's probably a terrible thing to say. What's the one thing you think of? But
there's not one thing. Sometimes I just jump. Like actually, when I pulled up here, the front of Progress there, they have about 15 mannequins. That
I know.
That's like, I was like, God damn, I left my camera at home.
Yep. Well, I've taken a few with my phone because it's such an image, isn't it?
Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, sometimes it just jumps out at you like that, or sometimes you just shoot.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you plan it in advance.
Yeah.
So the main photo that I did of that one we were speaking of, that was all planned in advance.
Right.
The concept. And going back to the feminine, masculine, I couldn't put the dress on, it wouldn't fit me, but I just kind of draped around me, and I was walking around Henderson. I don't know why I was doing this. I don't know, sometimes I'm weird, but so I walked around Henderson with this thing on me. It was like 11:30 at night. Dark, and I just couldn't picture being a woman walking around Henderson by myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think of it that it's hard to portray. Like you think, I wouldn't want to, but until you're actually doing it, then you realize the magnitude of it. And I never even thought of the dress in terms of there's no bottom to the dress, and it felt me I didn't think of that before having the dress draped on me and walking around.
Right.
But there's no bottom, so my fucking balls felt really exposed and just like vulnerable. They're
vulnerable.
They're like, oh
that's
you know what I mean?
That's a really good word, actually.
Yeah.
Vulnerable.
So the whole concept of what G had brought up really started to hit home of how through the generations it's been like that. You know what I mean? And I didn't have any idea. So there's things like that. There's another. So what I do for a living is I'm with a company, and I go in and out of homes all the time, and so I meet the craziest people all the time. I've been doing it for about a decade.
I'll bet.
I met a guy that was out of prison, and he was a guard, and he was telling me about riots at the certain prison, and I had mentioned, because I have an uncle in prison. I asked him about this one, but he said no. He didn't. He wasn't worried about that riot, but he said this other one was really bad. And long story short, is he said unfortunately a few of the guards got raped.
Really?
And I was like, oh god damn, I didn't know they had female guards there. And he's like, no, they weren't female. And I was like, oh
yeah,
shit. And then and then I drove home, and it was just all night. It was cycling in my head. Like, what do these guys have to do? Like, did they have to go back to work after that? Like, were they like belittled by, you know what I mean? Like, what was it like in the lunchroom? You know what I mean? Whether you're working with a bunch of guys, you've been raped by other guys. So what's that like in the lunchroom? And then it started dawning on me, that's what it's like for a woman because nobody, you know what I mean? And so, and then I realized, like, I have no idea about these concepts of feminism, even though I thought I did. I don't, and I never will. I can get close as a man, but yeah.
Well, I think
so that's where I'm at. That's why I like, fucking around, playing with gender, playing different scenes, and
well, and it's interesting to see it, and it's probably with you coming from a totally different place with gender, right? Like you said, you're having these realizations about different genders or how people feel or whatever. It would almost be interesting to see your photos through that photo shoot, right?
Yeah.
Like as you start to, because that's what I always think too, even with my own work. It's like you start with maybe a concept, or you think something's going to be a certain way. But one of the things I think are cool about artists is we follow that intuition. So you don't go in there with, I'm going to take a picture, I'm going to have them stand on this rock and do, you know what I mean, or something. It's being able to follow that intuition through, right?
Right. Yeah.
And because people will give you stuff if you listen to it, and they don't even know they're giving it half the time, right?
Yeah. I usually try and bring emotion out, so I usually have music on and almost every shoot and that kind of thing.
How do you determine your music?
Well, I used to just, 80s was a thing that I could play that everyone could relate to, so I usually try and do 80s, because
I used to do that in the shop
people
too.
People can relate to it. Everyone seems to relate to it. So
70s too, or
70s
like
too, whatever, but as long as it's a super, cool song.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And so is that something you still do?
Yeah, I always try.
Always have. Yeah. And it's always just sort of, you play that. Have you ever decided on music that you felt like needed to be for that mood, to put your subjects in a certain space?
I really try to.
Or is it more a distraction?
It ends up being a distraction, because if I don't have a playlist in advance, it's hard. Sometimes it does get in the way, but... Well,
but distraction can be good, right? Like sometimes we need almost that distraction to relax or whatever. So I could see where that would, because sometimes when something's really silent, like even us right now, it's really silent in here, right?
It is, yeah. I like to swear a lot. So if I'm if I'm doing a shoot, I'm swearing all the time, and there's a lot of energy, or just whatever. Because
I thought it was funny when you asked if you could swear, because I'm like, yep. Yeah. Because I forget half the time. So it's one of those things that I don't know. So talking about photos, I also noticed that you seem to do kinetic, or like you do with dancers, and so they almost have a movement within your photographs.
Yeah, that would be, so originally what got me into photography, I didn't have the internet growing up, so I'm that old, and we had magazines, so BMX, freestyle, skateboarding magazines. I was addicted to them for a good portion of growing up. So I just you would stare at these photos and dream of a scene that was in California that you could never get to, because that just wasn't an option in those days. So it had an impact on me. So I think the movement and the wide angle and such follows through in what I do.
And with those, when you're photographing athletes or dancers or whatever it is, are they... I guess I'm wondering about how your process. The other thing I was going to ask about is about this high contrast with using a lot of really dark black backgrounds and that kind of thing. I mean, that's something that to me kind of seems like a trait of your work or something like that. Has a very
I like to. Well, I just feel like
dramatic.
Yeah, it's a feeling to me. It's a feeling of when someone's coming out of darkness, it feels more powerful to me. I don't know, I just like the look. I'm not so fond of the white background as much.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. I think it does sort of make that person come out, and there's not the distraction of anything else, right? Which is really powerful.
I don't think it's really in style right now, but whatever.
Yeah. What's in style? Then you know you're doing a right thing. If what you're doing is in style, then meh.
I guess so.
And so you have your girls and your wife that dance, right?
Yeah.
And was that an inspiration to start there?
Yeah, because I was spending a lot of time just kind of hanging out at these, the change room of or not the change room, oh my God. the waiting room.
Yeah.
So the change rooms are there, but at the waiting room, as a parent, you have to sit, and your kids are dancing, right? So you're out, you're just waiting for one to come in, one to come out, and you're kind of going back and forth. And then after all this time, I thought, well, maybe I should get a camera and kill some time, take photos of them dancing or whatever.
Yeah.
And then as I started that, the memories of skateboarding and that came back immediately.
I don't think I've seen very much that's with skateboarders. Do you ever do photo shoots
I haven't, actually. I think I went to the park once for 4 minutes. I got some photos and that was about it. I'm so busy that I just
haven't. But is that something you would like to do?
I think, yeah, I probably will one day.
Yeah. Do you still skateboard?
Yeah, I do sometimes.
Do you?
Yeah, I do longboard sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I take my dog around. Henderson pulls me. So it's nice.
That's right. You do have a big dog, don't you?
Yeah.
So you're one of those guys I see where their dog's pulling them around. They're getting their exercise.
Yeah.
So when you talked about manual, everything I do is digital. In fact, I just make sure I have a good iPhone, and half my photos are on that, and with apps and blah, blah, blah. So when you're making a conscious choice to do the manual, are you also someone who's always got your iPhone out and you're always taking pictures, or is it
Not
disconnected?
Anymore. I don't anymore for some reason. I think I don't know why I don't anymore. There was a time, actually that was a process before I got my first good camera. I said, how many photos a day am I taking that I deserve this camera? So I would say for a month before that camera, I was taking 35, 40 photos every day.
Is that right?
A minimum of 35 to 40 photos a day. Not just blank photos, but attempted good photos.
Yeah.
And that kind of continued on, even if I didn't have my camera around. But I usually almost always have my camera with me.
Yeah.
A small camera with me.
Yeah. It's just sort of something that you see, like you say, when you drove up, right? There's something you want to capture. I think that's one of the nice things is the immediacy of the camera. But see, that's where thinking of doing manual, it's kind of nice because there's that immediacy and then there's a step back. And so you're seeing something differently by the time you've set it up and ready to do it. You're seeing something different, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just like to keep my brain busy while I'm doing it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So why? Yeah.
So do you identify as like an artist and a photographer? And was it weird when I asked you to come on the show?
No, not really.
No?
I don't, I take photos every single day, and people, like, I've had photos up in the gallery and whatnot, so. Yeah, it doesn't.
That's good. I'm glad.
Step by step kind of thing.
Yeah, it's good because a lot of people like yourself who are such artists won't accept that role because it's not, you're doing something else. It's your day job. So.
Right. Yeah. It is tough. Well, in my books, a photographer actually does it for money, and it's a hard thing to do. Like as a profession, as a photographer profession is, it's hard to. It's a different thing, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I would consider that a photographer more so, and I guess I am too. I don't. Yeah. It's a little bit different though. I'm more just artistic, just hanging out kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh shoot! I was going to ask something. It went right out of my head. I was going to say, with all these interesting people that you meet mm-hmm. when you're going into their houses, I would be so tempted to want to take pictures of.
I have.
Have you? Yeah, because it'd be so tempting. I always ask
permission.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But if you're meeting, and even just seeing odd little houses and stuff like that, right?
I've seen, you would believe. I've seen pretty crazy things for sure. Yeah. But speaking of what I see in the homes, my favorite is when I'm in usually a senior's home, but they mm-hmm. have photos from the early century time, and they're just so beautiful because those old black and white large format, you can see the soul in people in those photos, mm-hmm. and you don't see that anymore, so they're beautiful to look at.
Do you think is it the process? Is it sort of like music when we digitize it and it loses that?
One of the photographers I follow that got me really hooked is a guy named Palo Reversi. He's a fashion photographer, even though I'm not a fan of fashion photography. He's just outstanding, and he shoots large format, And his theory that I've read is that it's the time, it's just a long exposure time to grab that soul into your camera. So, and you can really see it, like I can see it in his photos. Well, anyone can see it. He's known for that. He's called that. He's known for that. And so I thought that would work with digital too, and I really tried low or slow exposures, and it just doesn't do that. It doesn't do it all. In fact, I think it's the opposite with I think it can be done, but I think it's a high extreme light, extreme just forcing so much light on the sensor. And as time goes on, when they can create the size that's needed to compare with the older, because the cameras I'm talking about were large, and the technology's not there yet with digital, but it will be.
And I don't know any of that technology as to how sort of cameras work, but I do remember sort of like back 1800s or whatever, when people had to not move, right? Yeah. Because it was open for so long. They would
actually have a stick that you would have to kind of stand against, so that it would hold. So your head would have to be against the stick. If you're
really?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. That's why people look so severe.
Yeah, that's why, and they couldn't smile or anything, so you just had to kind of stand against the stick, like.
Yeah. Whereas now with our cameras, it's so fast, right? Yeah. But what you're saying is almost that fastness, we're losing something.
That's what he said, and I don't know. If you do look at those old photos, like
it's so true.
It does look different for sure. It does look like you're looking at someone's soul.
Yeah.
So.
No, you're right.
That's what I would. I'm always trying to do that.
Yeah.
But what can you do?
I was looking at a photo set that you did of Levi playing with that gender again, and to me it looked. I wasn't sure if it was all done in the same time frame or.
Yeah, we did it all in one night.
Did you? Holy crap!
I've got so many photos from there that we just can't show.
Because I've seen so many different ones within that. Must have been a long night.
Yeah. No, it's only a couple hours.
What, really?
2 hours, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we work just bang, 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 work hard.
Well, and he's got his house is basically a studio, right?
Yeah. And Jess Victoria was helping us out.
Oh, okay.
So she was there, So it was, it was pretty easy to do.
Yeah? Yeah. Well, they're very stunning and compelling. But, yeah. So what do you think is what do you want to do in the future? What's your challenge? Do you have a challenge for yourself as to where you want to grow from? And
no, I actually have shot extremely little over the COVID at all, actually, just because
you can't see people.
Well, I feel like we kind of made a deal not to do that, so I'm trying to hold up to that. At some point, it's like I'm gonna fucking go insane, or I'm gonna have to do something because. Like we just can't sit in our houses.
I know.
And I'm not sure I'm not on the anti-masker side at all, but there's a million people having an orgy in Costco right now. I don't fucking stand why, I'm living in jail. So.
It's so true. The things that you.
Not to be like that's hyperbole, but.
No, I know. Yeah. I know what you're saying, and I think that is something that people. Artists who are, especially if you're out, right? You're an artist that's sort of out. You're not sitting in your studio painting. You need to be out. You need to interact. You need that sort of interface. Yeah. It's super hard.
Well, I'm lucky. I've been busy the whole time working. For Shaw is essential. So, yeah.
Yeah. What's your first thing you want to shoot? Do you have something you've just been dying to do, or you just want to get in front of the camera or behind the camera?
Yeah, I have a few things I really want to do. Yeah. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I think that's a struggle that we're dealing with. Not only not being able to do it, but I think probably another 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, they are going to study this time and for our depression and for all different things that are going on because of COVID. So we had people dying from COVID, but we also have these weird depressions and not being able to interact with our families and kids not being able to play together. I don't know. I think that's.
I think everything you say is accurate, except I'm not sure that anyone's going to look back on it.
You don't think so?
No. I'm actually I started. Have you heard of Laurel Canyon? That's where like all the hippies were.
Yeah.
You know what town. So I was reading that book, and that documentary was on, and then I was reading another book, 1969. Like 1969 was 10 times worse what we're going through right now.
It's true.
And no, everyone's like you'd swear people are comparing these times to Hitler and World War II on social media, and I'm like what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Like 1969 was way worse than what we're going through right now, as far as violence and people's rights and.
Oh, I don't know. There's some shit going on down in the States. It's pretty bad for violence. I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
I mean,
but the police were allowed. I mean, they could just beat people.
That's true.
You know
it's
what
true.
I mean? They could, if you were gay, you could. They were legally, kicking down gay bars and beating them for fun.
Yeah.
So it was, and so to compare that our rights are being trampled on because we're wearing a mask.
Oh, I know. It's so crazy, right?
It's a little tough to compare the two, but
no kidding.
Whatever. I think we'll be all right.
Well, it's sort of like everyone's like, it's against my rights to wear. I think I'm old enough to remember when seatbelts came in, and everyone was the same way. It's against my rights. I'm in my car. Yeah. You can't tell me what to do. Da da da. It's like, look, it's for safety. Yeah. Like, just do it and go along.
Like, I'm not on one side. And I'm not on the other. Like, I'm just like, if this is what we do, I'll do it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And I actually haven't been sick since I've been doing it, so it must do something.
Well, yeah, they say all the flus are down, right?
I'm in homes all the time, like all day.
Right,
so
right.
Never getting anything right now, so
yeah,
I do think it definitely has an impact.
Well, and I think my stepdaughter got COVID and has respiratory issues, so she's been going through a lot of stuff. But what she's cured, or she's better now, but she has all kinds of issues with her heart and all, and they're not really sure what's going on. And I think that's how we have to start thinking about this too, is long term, right? So yes, maybe the person that's getting it isn't going to die, but we're not, we don't know the extent of it, so just wear a mask. And
yeah, and for sure, like
it's a pretty easy fix.
It doesn't sound like it's ending anytime soon. It sounds like the vaccines are going to be a while now. So
you have to be outside. You have to shoot outside.
Yeah, or I'll just wear a mask. I think we can all live and survive and still do what we need to do by, like, in my work truck, I have spray bottle with alcohol. I have booties, gloves, and a mask. So it's not hard to clean and just stay safe. It's really
Yeah.
It takes effort, and I think a lot of people are really stuck into, I can't go out now because it's just mentally it's hard, right? But I think people are going to have to start forcing themselves to get out.
There's a photographer that I follow. He's from the States, but he has just started. He posts all these outdoor stuff. So he's okay, this is photography in COVID, and it's just he's from a safe distance, and he's just doing a bunch of his photography that way. So I mean, until we can get closer,
I'll have to do that. And it's and the cold weather's coming on too. I thought about doing like portraits through people's window, because I could do that. Maybe I could hand them a flash to someone, could hold a flash on the inside or something. I thought about doing that, but
that's interesting though. I think you should explore that, because not only does you get to have then your artwork, and there's something about looking through someone's window, and so there's so many cool things that way, but it's also this image that we see so often on the news and everywhere, is people looking out at their windows at each other, right? So it's such a...
No, I think I would go right up to the window and just shoot like my...
so you can't tell it's through the window.
You wouldn't tell. Like I could have it would be a little more textured than a regular photo, or maybe you could play with some of the shadowing or whatnot, but you wouldn't see the window.
Right.
You would see the image of them.
Image of them. Oh,
so if I was kind of shooting you right now, it would be like the window. I'd be just shooting you.
Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying.
But so we'd be safe because I'd be out on the outside of the window.
Yeah. Well, you have to have somebody behind there then that's taking the pictures of you doing it, because it's cool.
Yeah.
I think you should always have photography that's take pictures of you. I always think it looks...
Every time that happens, I'm like, God damn you, I look like shit. What are you doing?
Now you know how we feel all the time when I see myself on camera. I'm like, what? That is so not not what reality seems like. But speaking of that, do you usually have assistants or someone that helps you with that light?
No, not usually. Sometimes friend Adam, he's getting into photography as well, and I worked with him previously, and sometimes he'll help out. But other than that, I just I got the flash in one hand that or on a stick or whatever, and just camera in the other.
You must get tired at the end of the night too, because I was watching you carrying around that light and your camera on.
I got a lot of adrenaline after usually, so usually up for a couple hours after, kind of laying around.
And so, have you ever also done darkroom stuff?
No.
No? Oh, you have to try it.
Yeah.
I want to, when COVID's done everything, we should take one at I think they do them at CASA.
Yeah.
And I'd love to, like at university, I took just 1 year of photography. But the darkroom is like, it's just like the sexiest, coolest, like, because it's dark, you have your music going loud, you're there by yourself. I don't know. I loved it. It was just such a, like, it was more the cool space to be in. It was actually frustrating as hell. And I lost as much because you get little tiny fluff on there and your whole picture's done. But just being in that space was super cool.
I mean, I shoot film and still do sometimes. I have zero time to even think about
processing. Well, yeah, of course.
Send it off. So,
what would make you decide to shoot film instead of digital?
Honestly, I would shoot I have a really good 35 millimeter, but it's not really going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just too much. I'm so busy with work, kids, family, all the things in life. It's just, film is you got to kind of have some time for that. So.
No kidding. Yeah.
Although I think I've inherited some equipment here I got to go pick up this weekend, which is a lot of film and chemicals and I think so. I may shoot film this year yet. I don't know.
Who knows what's going to happen, right? Yeah. I always think though that everything I do now is digital, and I can't imagine going back. Like I can't imagine not having that control within that, even in editing, right? Yeah. Do you do a lot of editing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for like the stuff I gave you or whatnot, there's a ton of editing, of course. But, yeah.
And the stuff that you gave me has almost, and I haven't got a chance to look at it really closely, but I could see it could kind of been played around with layering, was it?
They're double exposure.
Yeah. And so you do that after in the editing process. Yeah. So the editing, it sounds like, is almost just as important, or you make as many executive decisions then?
If for something like that, that would be, but I mean, a lot of times if I'm just, sometimes I'll just have shots just of transitions or people in the street or whatnot, and that's just kind of basic editing.
Yeah.
Just to bring it into Lightroom and kind of adjust it how I want, and that's it.
Do you know ahead of time if that's something you're going to end up doing a lot? Like, let's say, like I'm thinking of me when I'm thinking of this. So I'm thinking, are there sometimes where you take a picture, put it up, it's cool, but then you also then go back to pictures and play with them and layer them?
That's all I've been doing. I always go back.
Yeah.
I haven't shot in I don't know how long now. So yeah, I'm still going back to old photos and just still posting them or redoing them or having fun with them.
Yeah.
Although it's getting boring now and I have to start shooting again. But
yeah. So do you shoot your wife and kids that much?
No, they hate it.
Do they?
Yeah.
Why? Are you too bossy?
No, I think they just don't. I don't know. It's just I'm their dad or they don't like it.
Yeah. So, that's a bummer, hey? Don't have your built-in models?
There's like superstars and they
fucking
won't let me take their photo.
I was going to say, they're all amazing.
I know, like I could have a lifetimes of photos. I seriously could, because they're
kids,
incredible.
Like smarten up.
And this is not going to happen,
Yeah, they prefer just to, Well, it's too bad because the ones I have seen you've done with them are fantastic. Yeah. So, thanks. Yeah. So how do you usually approach people, or do people approach you?
I don't know if I can say this.
Okay. Don't have to.
So it's there's a saying I've heard.
Okay.
Or I made it up. Maybe I made this saying up. I made it up. Guys run away from the camera. Women run to the camera. Gay men push you over to get the camera.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds about right.
And gay women are just good. They're just with whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I wondered with photography. That's so true. Well, especially the ones that I've seen you photograph. But, and drag queens. Have you done much with drag queens? I haven't seen much of your work.
We did Levi and Austin up in the change
Oh,
room.
that's right. Oh, yeah, those are fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the one you took of me too.
Yes,
Those ones of
yeah,
me. Yeah, I
yeah,
really like
yeah.
those. I thought you had just some amazing photos that came out of that. But do you ever see, like, is this sort of going to be your hobby when you retire? Or, because you're not, photography?
Oh, it'll always be an obsession. Like,
Yeah.
I drank a lot when I grew up, and I had to quit. So I'm always obsessive about things, whatever I get into. So that's a good reason why I don't shoot dance at all anymore, just because my kids are into dance, and it's like, that's their thing. It's not healthy for a parent to get to that thing, you know what I mean? So, especially when it's like kids organized sports, you got to step back as a parent and just let them do their thing, right?
Yeah.
So, what the fuck? Where were we going with this again?
I don't know. I don't know where. Oh, I don't know. Who cares?
Okay.
No, but I think I was saying, is it something that probably you see when you retire?
It'll always be an obsession.
Yeah.
So I might not. What I was getting with that was I may change subjects, but I'm probably going to shoot. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can't see me changing into another hobby.
Yeah. Did I see somewhere some photos you took of like professional dancer who's like live somewhere else now? Like they look like these crazy.
Yeah. TJ Terragine. Yeah. Popwich. She won just seeing Dance Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yes, at some point. I don't remember when it was though.
Yeah, those are fantastic.
Oh,
and like the movement that you show in there.
Yeah.
And even though it's a static image, you can just really, and the strength I noticed of the skin.
Yeah.
So a lot of your photos.
Were those outdoors in the coulee, or where were those?
I don't know. There were some I saw in plain black and white, but there were some that were outside, so maybe they were in the coulees.
She probably got on my iPad here.
You know what you'll have to do is you'll have to send me some photos.
Yeah.
That I can like add at the end on the YouTube so that people can actually look at them.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of nice when you're talking and some, we're talking about like even those. I'll put some pictures up because it's kind of nice to see what it is. But it just felt like the skin, like that sometimes I don't know if it's that high contrast with the black and white or how it works.
Those ones were high-speed sync flash outside of the sun. So
the sun's like the best filter, hey?
Yeah, it's hard to do. Flash is hard to do in the sun outside because of the physics of the camera. But I have this very small camera which is called a leaf shutter. So you can use a really high. It's called sync speed, and you can really kind of throw a lot of light on to overpower the sun, and you get a unique look. And it reminds me a lot of the old Nat Geographic magazines.
Yeah.
Lions and tigers, and when we were growing up, like the 70s, and that bright flat sort of reminds me of. So I like to do that. Yeah.
See, I don't know what all that means, the bright flash and everything. I just know I liked it.
Anyway, so that's how that came about.
Oh, okay. So do you find people approach you a lot?
No, well.
Because I know I have. I've sent a thing like, hey, I want to work together. And it seems like when you see someone who's doing some cool work, it's kind of...
Yeah, not usually, no. I think I barely ever get approached.
Yeah?
I don't think so.
Because you just kind of keep it under wraps.
Yeah, I don't know. I think.
What's your tattoo here that says "Get Going"?
Get moving. Yeah.
Get moving.
Yeah, just to keep me going.
Remind you.
I can get depressed if I don't stay. So that's one thing why I will always have photography and using it manual mode. Like I have to fucking keep moving,
right?
Or I'll get depressed. I'll get really, really depressed.
Yeah. Or
it can go the other way and I can get anxious and then angry. So I have to just really stay focused and stay present, and photography is a good way to do it.
So it's something that maybe you go to, and that's why it's made frustrating then, or tough with COVID. You don't have that escape.
Yeah, probably right on that.
Yeah. You have to get out and start doing some nature or something.
Yeah. I can't imagine wanting to do that. That's just not me.
No, nature's not your thing. So
I do like flowers though. I like taking flowers. There's no flowers right now, but
no.
Yeah.
All the flowers are dead.
Yeah.
It's not depressing at all.
Yeah.
They've all died under the frost and the cold. But why do you think it is that you respond more with people? Do you need that interaction with your subjects?
Yeah, I think now that you mention it, yeah, it's unpredictable, and you have to be able to get. I mean, there's going to be nerves. They're going to have nerves because I don't ever work with professional models. Like I just work with people, so
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times there's a lot of nerves. And
Totally.
you're gonna have to bring that out of them
Mm-hmm.
and just relax and just so however you speak and however you take control of it.
Mm-hmm. And is that something that came naturally to you, or did you notice with working with people? Like, are you a pretty good people person?
I am now just for my work. Like it's just reps daily of going in and out of dealing with people in their own environment.
Yeah.
Like so, it's just reps.
Mm-hmm.
10 years of reps.
What do you mean by reps?
Going in and out of just doing it all day long.
Oh, repetition.
Yeah, repetition.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, sorry.
I was like, no.
Yeah,
I was
just
like, what is
repetition.
rep? What am I missing
going in
here?
and out of people's homes and talking to them and dealing with them. Because I was an introvert growing up, so I was super shy.
It's probably why you drank them, right? That's how I was.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Totally. Like you got to relax, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how do you find that now with the photography, or are you just finding different things that help you relax?
I just...
Because there's that balance, and I speak from myself. There's sort of this balance between being able to relax and not be anxious and then not fall into depression. So there's sort of this, and sometimes I'm successful at it and sometimes I'm not, and sometimes art helps and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. I think sometimes you break your leg or whatever and you're in pain.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you're not, there's nothing broken, but you still have pain inside.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just there. And
Mm-hmm.
it's always been there, and it's probably always going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't drink, and and I don't smoke and whatnot, so exercising, that kind of thing helps, but also just having something to do
Mm-hmm.
to just get away from the pain.
Mm-hmm.
So photography and just being busy with manual mode, engaging with people, just constantly like reminders to get moving and whatnot is just something to do, I guess.
Yeah. I've had a hard time, like with COVID and with everything that's going on. I've had a really hard time not slipping back in. Like it just feels like it's an easy thing to kind of... I've been painting once a week with my mom, and I feel like that's kind of been really helping, sort of something, getting out, being creative,
Right.
having a commitment, because I find it tough not to slide back in.
Right.
So it's, I guess, where art's been good for me,
Yeah.
but it's that balance.
It is, and especially for me, creatively, it's hard because I'm really hard if I'm not doing good or I don't feel like it's good. I'm always like, fuck, it's never good enough. It's just constantly. So that's my case, but I have to bring myself back and remember it's I'm doing this to move, not the product.
Yeah.
So, and I'm always forgetting that, and goddamn.
Well, because it is, and that's one of the things, like, I'm fascinated by process, like the whole process of doing it. And that's why I like talking to different artists, like, okay, what's your process? What pulls you out? And I think sometimes the process is more important than what the product is, which must be a hard thing with photography, because you're more, the outcome is so tied, I guess, to what you're doing. Yeah. But that process is really, really important for, I think, our mental health, our feeling good about things, or, but sometimes to slow down and recognize that is tough.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's I guess it's something we're going to learn. By the time we're 100, we're just going to have it down. It's going to be fine. Sure. You'll be laying there with your camera. There'll be lots to take pictures of then.
Yeah. Actually, I have a book of it's a really cool. It's like a half comic graphic novel and half photos of this guy. I think it was in the 80s. He was traveling through Afghanistan, and at one point he thought he was dying, and he took a last photo facing up, but as he passed out, someone had picked him up and saved him, and
wow,
that photo's in the book, so it's kind of cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Geez, to have the presence of mind, hey?
Yeah.
To take that one photo just kind of gives me shivers, actually.
I'm gonna have to look at that again tonight. God damn, I forgot about that.
Do you have like special photographers that are your inspirations?
Yeah,
or are
I
you
got a few anyway. Yep.
Yeah? What do they
well,
tell
actually
us?
More than a few. I got
now I'm gonna ask names. That's the worst thing,
bunch,
right?
There's some for some reason, and I never ever imagined I would. Fashion photography. I growing up, I can't even imagine why I would even be interested in something like that. And I'm not. I never want to do it. But there's a few artists that I really enjoy looking at that that have worked from that, and that was, so the one would be Palo Reversi, or Peter Lindbergh is another one. He's black and white. I just love black and white, and his images are just incredible. You know, Annie Leibovitz is, I love her. I've got her 2 lookbooks, and her actual family photos I love probably even more than her portraits, but her portraits I love too. Portraits.
There's just something in her, you know, when you were talking before about the soul, that seems like in hers, and even the most simplistic photos that, you know, there's something out there that comes, that she captures.
Yeah, I think even more than the physical part of when I was explaining the large format and whatnot, I think